My name is Eleni Gabre Madhin. I'm the CEO of a new company called Eleni LLC. And previously, I was the founder and the former CEO of the Ethiopia Commodity Exchange. So I'm here in Bellagio writing a memoir about the experience of founding and running the first commodity exchange in Ethiopia, and actually the first of its kind in Africa. Well, the Ethiopia Commodity Exchange started operating in 2008, and it was really something that I had felt very strongly about since the 80s when the Ethiopian famine happened, and apparently there was a surplus of grain in the western part of the country, and 1 million people died in the northern part of the country. And I felt at that time that here was something I could do to try to figure out why markets didn't work. And so as a student, I spent a long time both at a master's and then later on doing my PhD on trying to figure out how to make markets work in a way that poor people would be better off and distributing food or other commodities from where it was produced in a country to where it needed to be consumed. So in 2004, after living in Washington and other parts of the Western world for almost 30 years, I returned back to Ethiopia and was able to convince the government that we could set up a commodity exchange in Ethiopia. But the exchange that we ended up designing and setting up was a unique kind of an exchange in the sense that it had a much broader operational scope. It was tailored for a developing country or even a frontier market situation where many of the institutions and much of the infrastructure was not in place. So we couldn't really set up the same model like the Chicago Board of Trade or the London Metals Exchange or something like that. We really had to create a new model which was tailored to the very weak infrastructural, weak human capacity conditions of Ethiopia. And so what I used to call that the Ethiopian exchange for Ethiopia, rather than a copy-paste of even South Africa's or India's or China's exchanges, all of which during the project phase I had a chance to visit and bring the market participants with me, people from government, the future regulators. So as a country, we really built up this understanding of what didn't work in other countries and what we needed to do to build a commodity exchange that would transform the lives of millions of small farmers and small traders in our country, in Ethiopia. So we launched the exchange in 2008, started trading maize, beans, added coffee and sesame seed the following year. By the fourth year, 2012, we were trading $1.4 billion per year. 15 million coffee farmers had increased their share of the final export price from about 38% to upwards of 65 to 70%. And that's because of the power of the transparency of the system. Everybody got market information as soon as it was discovered in the trading system. The exchange guaranteed the delivery, the quality, the quantity of the commodity, and the payment on a next day basis. So T+1, trading day +1 the next day, the farmers would be paid. This is the only exchange actually in Africa where the clearing and settlement of payment happens on a next day basis. So we really, aimed in a sense for the stars, that we would do something that would impact millions of people. But we also did it in a way that was tailored to very small, informal, weak education. Most of the traders that trade in the exchange have not had more than an 8th grade education. So we say this is an exchange that is not set up for the suits, the MBAs from Harvard and Chicago. It's an exchange set up for the people on the ground. And for that reason, we had to tailor the way the exchange was set up and designed. So we didn't do electronic trading at the beginning. We really tailored the training and the capacity building to the informal sector. But it really took off. And so in 2008, as I said, we basically proved that this was a model that could transform millions of people's lives. Over the 4 years that I ran the exchange, we had more than 30,000 visitors coming to the exchange from 18 from all over Ethiopia, but also from all over the world. Most of the heads of major institutions, the World Bank, the Gates Foundation, the UNDP, IFC, IMF, all these institutions, the CEOs or the presidents came to visit our exchange. 3 African heads of state have come to visit the exchange, and hundreds of Ethiopian farmers, students, university students, school children have come to see this exchange, which actually came to almost symbolize a matter of pride for Ethiopia, that we could aim to do something very modern, very efficient, and at the same time helping the poorest people in the country. So that experience for me was obviously something that was a dream that came true over a course of almost a lifetime. And so I came to Bellagio with the idea of writing up this experience, which from end to end was spans from 1984 till just last year. So in a sense, it's also telling the history of Africa in this period, of Ethiopia, passing through different government regimes to now becoming one of the, from a socialist era to now becoming one of the fastest growing economies in the world. But much more importantly, it's the story of trying to start from an academic, analytical quest for a solution to a problem. Why was there a surplus in one part of the country when 1 million people died in another part of the country? Starting that as an academic question, and that leading to, coming up with something very practical, very operational, and then switching from being an academic to being a practitioner, setting up an institution, writing the laws for it, passing or enacting different policies, working closely with government, with the private trading community, and then running a business that ended up having about 1,800 employees, a very big annual budget, and becoming a business leader, for me is an incredible experience from, as an economist, to really, as they say, put skin in the game and actually do something that I believed in and felt that I had analyzed and now knew what to do, and then went about doing that. So telling that story, I think, is very important. I would have never found the time to do it had I not been able to come here. So I was delighted when the Rockefeller Foundation extended an invitation very graciously, and I was very happy to be able to come and take this time out from a very crazy life that I normally live, and to be in this incredibly beautiful place with people who are so thoughtful and who have so many different interests, and then to just have this place to be so reflective and pause and think about all these things that happen. And it's not one story, and it's not an individual story. It's not even the story of just the Ethiopian society. It's a story really of how development itself has changed, from thinking that governments should do everything and that that the West has all the solutions, to seeing how our concept of Africa has evolved over this time, and our concept of how private and public should work together has evolved. So there are many lessons and themes in this memoir that has actually, I think I'm simply the excuse to write something that is way bigger and much far-reaching than my own experience. So it's been a fantastic experience here.